moment. Not just like last season as a whole, but coming off of how last season ended. And then that's how all these guys get ranked. 888 say ESPN. Gerald is calling us from Louisiana. Hey, Gerald.
Hey, good morning to y'all. I've been listening just for a few minutes, and I just wanted to say, I know this list can be subjective because everyone's a fan of certain quarterbacks, right? And you can look at their body of work. You can look at the single thing they've done. You can look at the team effort, and it still can be subjective. And any of those guys in the top 5, you could take and have a winning franchise, no doubt. No doubt Patrick Mahomes is number one because why? He's got 2 Super Bowls. But I don't think Joe Burrow gets enough love. I mean, this guy is right there. He is like the second coming of Joe Montana, but he's better. And I'm predicting he's going to be in the Super Bowl this year. And I love Jalen Hurts, but he still needs another year or two to see if he's, going to be on that list. And obviously the list is for last year. It's not for the last 3 years. And Herbert is fantastic, but the Chargers, when you think of them and the Chargers, people don't see the Chargers in the Super Bowl. Maybe it's coaching. Something's lacking there. Herbert is fantastic, no doubt. Josh Allen, fantastic. But to me, and I'll end it with this, that Joe Burrow just doesn't get the love that he deserves, and I think he is outstanding. And I would probably take him over Patrick Mahomes. And like you said, it's a subjective list, and you go by what they did. But to me, Joe Burrow is going to be the leader of the pack here in the next few years. And I'll just hang up and listen to you guys.
Go Tigers, Gerald.
For me, Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the NFL. Easy. And the reason that I have him above Jalen Hurts is because, yes, they both made it to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow made it to a Super Bowl on a team nobody expected to be there. Nobody. I mean, he really elevated. Now, given some of that, also, they ended up being the healthiest team in that postseason. Obviously, the chips have to fall how the chips have to fall for these teams. There's always a little luck involved. Joe Burrow had a very healthy Bengals team that season during a difficult season for everybody health-wise. But nevertheless, him making it to a Super Bowl with that team, getting the best of Patrick Mahomes 3 times, the only quarterback to do that. I get he doesn't play defense, but I feel like all of that matters. To me, Joe Burrow is the second best.
Amber, Gerald is obviously an LSU fan.
Right.
Gerald probably has a life-size cutout of Joe Burrow somewhere in his bedroom, maybe on his ceiling. Because to say Joe Burrow doesn't get enough credit and Joe Burrow isn't recognized,
he gets a tons of credit.
Stop it. Joe Burrow is beloved and gets a ton of credit.
Tons.
So 2019, live in the moment, Gerald. Go Tigers.
I just don't, maybe because people aren't talking about Joe Burrow the same way right now that they're talking about Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts is above Joe Burrow on this list. So maybe that's what this is in reference to. Again, this list from the other NFL players feels very much like living in the moment. Coming up next, we are 30 days away from NFL season. What are you most excited about?
You can hear Fightin' Texas Aggie football right here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM or online at radioaggieland.com, or you could tell Alexa, play Zone 1150. You know, I know, Aggie football is more than just the game. It's the tailgate. It's grilling with neighbors and friends. It's sitting on the couch with your son, daughter, teaching them the traditions and getting them ready for their time at Texas A&M. Here on The Zone, it's more than just the game, too. We got the Zone Game Day show. It's thanks to TexAgs. It starts 3 hours before every Texas A&M game. We also have the Zone Call-In show, and it starts 30 minutes after every Aggie football home game. Spend your game day here on The Zone, 1150 a.m. and 93.7 FM. You can listen online at radioaggieland.com, and you can tell Alexa, play Zone 1150.
Buy more, save more. This is true for tractors too. At WC Tractor, we have ready-to-go new Kubota tractor packages, which include the most commonly used attachments. Along with the tractor, you'll leave with a loader and box blade for dirt work, a cutter to take care of your fields, and a trailer to haul it all. With payments starting as low as $299 a month, think of all the jobs you can get done with a new Kubota tractor package. Payments valid now through September 30th. See us at WC Tractor or go to KubotaUSA.com for more info.
The small Texas town of Llano is where it all began. The Wooten family created Cooper's old-time pit barbecue, cooked cowboy style over mesquite coals. Decades later, you can still get the same great barbecue cooked the same way by the same family right here in College Station. Open daily 11 to 9. Experience the taste of locally Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's old-time pit barbecue. Voted best in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M athletics.
Marketing your business is hard. It's so competitive. We know because we're a local business too. But when it comes to marketing your business and getting new customers, that is our business. Bryan Broadcasting is your full-service marketing partner, combining radio, print, and digital strategies for custom results-driven campaigns. Reach out to us and we'll work with you to create those solutions that will increase your business and bring you new customers. Go to bryanbroadcasting.com and click Digital Solutions. Bryan Broadcasting. Radio, print, digital.
Young or old, black or white, or anything in between. From employees to entrepreneurs, doctors to detectives, some things define us and set us apart, but there's one thing that binds us. Before anything, we are one thing. Born to be Americans, proud to be Americans. Our United States are our united fates. Know your Constitution.
Unity. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
The Houston Astros come to play on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Thanks to Kelly Bertoza. This is KZNE, College Station, Bryan.
If I'm gonna do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
And now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bull crap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him. Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hand records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo? I do not stay at the Intercontinental. And anything I got is not a rental. I own that mom. Figured out this is simple. My stock been going up like a crescendo. A bunch of handshakes from the fakes. But I do not wanna be friends though. I told y'all mom, man, this is not a love song. This a stripper on a mink rug song.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into TexAgs Radio. In the time that it took for the computer to reboot, I counted that I have 22 tabs open here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, my Heisman Trophy voter friend, Olin Buchanan, working behind the scenes to make me a voter one day. That's a big conversation. I think you were explaining to me it isn't as easy as applying. You gotta. It's almost like the mafia, right?
It's like being invited.
Got to be invited.
Got to be made.
Got to be a made man.
Yes.
Got to know like jujitsu and stuff like that to get in, right?
Or the right person.
Or the right person. Obi, I got a question for you. I know what your answer. I think I know what your answer is going to be. And again, you know that I've turned over a new leaf. I'm not fighting people, especially my friends or my enemies, except for Kennedy Kevin. But beyond that, this is more of a conversation. Does A&M have one of the 25 best players in the SEC? Do they have more than one? Do they have three? Do they have...
Oh, I would say without a doubt they have at least one of them.
Would you say Evan Stewart's one of the top 25 players in the SEC?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, I'm also miffed that he wasn't on a preseason all-SEC team.
Okay.
I think Anaya Smith is one of the top 25 teams.
Agree.
I think McKinley Jackson.
Agree.
And he's got to prove it, but I think Bryce Anderson will prove to be one of them.
Will Bryce Foster potentially?
I think Bryce Foster potentially is, but you got to start winning.
The reason I asked that is my friend, and he is my friend, Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, did a top 25 players in the SEC. And to my record, I don't see one. I'm just kind of scrolling through. And by the way, not angry about it, because to change the narrative, you got to do things consistently well.
You got to win.
You got to win, not just 1 year, by the way. You've got to come with a brand for multiple years, in my opinion. You can't have 2020 and then be off for 2 or 3 years. You've got to do it consistent. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't have one of the top 25 players. But, Ms. Cabot, I'm going to invite you to the show early. Hi, Kennedy. How are you?
Hey, guys.
I want you to keep a tally, okay, of what schools get what. And then at the end, we can kind of see. Because this is one person's opinion. Again, I don't care. Like, whatever. I haven't gone through the list myself. So LSU's got one at 25, Mason Smith.
He's really good.
Yep. Nick.
So they didn't put Harold Perkins.
Well, I'm at number 25.
Oh, you're moving. I thought you said one.
Sorry, 25 down. 24, Nick Amanawari, South Carolina, the safety. Okay? You writing these down?
I'm doing my best.
I'm just asking. Just write, like a little tally. South Carolina 1. Like
yeah, got that.
Donna McLovett, Georgia wide receiver, 23.
He was really good at Missouri.
Will Rogers, 22 at Mississippi State. I agree with that one.
Yeah.
Yep. 21, Bo Limmer, Arkansas center.
Moving from guard to center, okay, if you say so.
Brady Latham, Arkansas offensive lineman.
So Arkansas has 2
already. Lad McConkey, Georgia wide receiver. Really good. Really, really good. Okay. Georgia, by the way, if I didn't tell you earlier.
Who was the one before the first
my gosh,
Arkansas
we can't
guy?
do this on the air.
This is scaring me.
It was an Arkansas offensive lineman.
KK.
As we continue on. Number 18, Nathaniel Watson, Mississippi State linebacker.
Okay. He's productive.
Makai Wingo, LSU defensive lineman at 17. Javon Foster, Mizzou offensive lineman at 16. Devin Leary, Kentucky quarterback, 15. Haven't seen him do it at the SEC, but he's pretty darn good. Okay.
He was good in the ACC.
Malachi Starks, Georgia safety.
I'm not going to question anybody from Georgia.
Yep. Dallas Turner, Alabama linebacker.
He's good. Let's see how good he is without Will Anderson on the other side, but he's good.
J.C. Latham,
he's good. He's
offensive lineman from Alabama.
He's first-round pick.
Number 11, LSU quarterback, Jaden Daniels.
That's what they say.
He's definitely one of the top 25, though, don't you think?
That's what they say.
You're not sold. Arkansas quarterback, number 10, KJ Jefferson.
All right, no problem.
Number 9, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Georgia inside linebacker.
I'm not going to question anything from Georgia. They've won 2 national championships in a row.
Antoine Juicewell, South Carolina wide receiver. He's pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's good. I guarantee if I'd take Evan Stewart.
Number 7, Malik Neighbors, LSU wide receiver.
He's good.
Number 6, Cedric Van Pran, Georgia center.
Yeah, he's spectacular.
Rocket Sanders, Arkansas might lead the list, by the way. Rocket Sanders, Arkansas running back.
So it's 4 for Arkansas.
Number 4, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alabama cornerback.
Probably maybe their best corner ever.
Yeah. Number 3, Ole Miss running back Quinshon Judkins. Absolutely.
Don't have a problem with that.
Number 2, Harold Perkins, LSU linebacker.
I don't have a problem being in the top 25. Last I saw Harold Perkins, I don't know if he made a tackle.
That's true. And then number 1, Brock Bowers, Georgia tight end.
Don't have a problem with that.
Don't have a problem with the list, but I do like. Are they being penalized because of their record? Because a player is a player regardless. Anaya Smith is a spectacular player. And this is the problem with lists. Everybody's got their own criteria, right? Like, even our 23 and 23, I had a criteria. You had one. Billy had one. Like, we all had the subscribers, I'm sure, all individually had their own style. So do you have the tally for the schools? Can you tell me, like, the top couple schools? I know it's Georgia and
sound
Arkansas.
like they had 7 or 8.
Georgia has, I got 6 for Georgia.
That's all. Okay.
5 for LSU, and then 4 for Arkansas.
What did Alabama have?
Alabama had 3.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay.
McKinstry, Turner, and Latham.
Okay. Yep. Well, anyway, then I see South Carolina's got a couple in there. I think they had 2. Am I right about that?
You are correct.
I got to think. And again, not mad at the list. I think I'm more, you are what recent history has you as is who you are.
Right. It's one of those things where I can understand, at least in some ways, how you leave off everybody at A&M except for Evan Stewart. I can't figure that one out.
I really can't understand McKinley Jackson, to be honest with you. But
he only played half the year.
Sure.
But, of course, that Mason Smith only played 1 game.
1 game.
But if you go back the year before, he's really good. Look, if you're Texas A&M, you don't have the right to be offended by those omissions.
Agree.
You've won, what is it, 13 games in 2 years? You've I think, what have you won?
You've won in 2 years what you hope you'd win in 1 year. Let's be honest.
Right. And when you look at your SEC games, what have you won? Something like in the last 2 years, 5?
Right.
So you don't have any right to be offended. What you need to do is say, no, I think some of these guys are better, and I take that as a challenge, A&M. I think my Evan Stewart guy is better. I think Anaya Smith is better. I think McKinley Jackson's better. Bryce Anderson, Bryce Foster. I think those guys are better than you think. So go out and freaking win and make guys like Connor O'Gara and Barrett Slee and all those guys have to eat their words.
By the way,
though Connor's not being
no, he's not
being
people's opinions don't bug me. No. You can make an argument that Evan Stewart absolutely deserves to be on that list based on his numbers in an offense that did nothing.
Well, he had 53 catches, 43 of them were in SEC play. I look at some of the other guys, and they weren't on the list, but some of the Alabama guys, you look at where, they had fewer catches and the volume of them that were in non-conference games.
Right.
Evan Stewart did it for the most part in conference games. So I think he's a guy that's one of the top 25 players. But
I'm going to give you Malik Neighbors' stats, which, by the way, if Evan played the full season, which he missed, 2 games? Am I right about that?
At least.
Okay. I'm going to just show you. I'm going to just compare the two because I think they would have been a little bit more similar. Malik Neighbors, who played, I think, the entire year, 72 receptions, 1,017 yards, 3 touchdown receptions, 14.1 average. Okay?
Now, is that in 14 games?
That is in pretty much 14 games, yeah. Okay, so 72 receptions, right? You go to Evan, 53 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 12.2 average, and 649 yards. He played in the LSU. Let me see if I can
10
open
games
it all.
Probably.
He played Sam Houston State, App State, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Florida, Auburn, LSU. So, yeah, he missed 2 games, as I thought.
Yeah, he didn't play in Miami for his own reasons. And then I think UMass, I don't know if he was hurt or sick or something, but something kept him out of that game.
But if you play those 2 games He was averaging towards the end of the year between 6 and 8 catches a game.
He has 60 catches if he plays in those 2 games.
Yep, and maybe 65.
Yeah, maybe. But he's over 60. He's
Okay,
60-ish.
and then his numbers are, but he didn't play in those games.
He did.
So, but I guess what I'm saying is, because of the offense A&M had last year, those are really good numbers.
Relative to what they were doing. Right. The one that I'm just not as sold on Jaden Daniels. I think he's a really good athlete playing quarterback.
So McGee wasn't sold on KJ Jefferson, and you're not sold on Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Jaden Daniels isn't good, but the 11th best player in the SEC, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that at all. But he's good. I think if you can box him in and make him throw, I think you've got a great chance to win.
Look, this is conversation just to kind of talk things out, because we are now a few weeks away from it all starting, and those narratives hopefully begin to start changing. But for long-term narrative changing, you need long-term success, not short-term success, not just a 1 year. It's like when Texas A&M went out and got Jimbo, my vision was, all right, now we're going to be a perennial 10-win team every year. Occasional year we drop to 8.
Yes,
right?
That's what I thought too.
And we got the 9-win year, which was, to me, 10, but whatever, the 9-win year.
Yeah, that was better than a 10-win year.
Right.
Because you look at the winning percentage, and it would be better than a 11-2 year.
Sure. By the way, no, I have not seen the Johnny Manziel documentary. I'm going to watch it later on tonight. It came out last night at midnight. Mason watching on the YouTube page. I'm hoping you guys watched the doc last night and talk about it this morning. I'm so nervous about the perception on A&M and his Heisman. We're talking about a long time ago. Like,
I'll have to see it, but
yeah.
Yeah, that was 11 years ago when he won the Heisman. And what are we worried about? I mean, is somebody nationally going to say something negative about A&M?
We've gone through that.
Yeah,
we've had the last couple of years to deal with, right?
And as far as Johnny's Heisman goes, and I think most of his issues occurred after winning the Heisman.
Right. Well, I've heard. I have not
Most
seen it.
of them.
Obviously, I just said that, but I've heard from people close to the program, and I think some people that thought it was well done. So we're going to watch it later on today.
Yeah.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us or text us 979-693-1150. That is the hotline number. Call us. Give us your thoughts on A&M's top 25, or should they have one of the top 25 players? If so, who should it be? Is it just Evan? Is it Ainias? By the way, if Mason Smith gets that love, I think Ainias Smith deserves that
Mason
love too.
Smith is a freaking warhorse. He's a first-round pick.
Ainias is not a first-round pick, but in the college football game,
Well, you can be a first-round talent without being a first-round pick. Devon A-Chain, Christian Kirk.
Sure.
Yeah. But Mason Smith is certifiable badass.
He is good. Let's check in with Nick Savage behind the glass. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy. Good morning, y'all.
How are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic. I'm having a great morning, even though we lost the soundboard to start off, but we got through it. We did a great job, and happy to be here.
I'm so happy to hear your voice this morning.
Thank you.
What is on your mind this AM?
Well, kind of what we were talking about before the show.
And you two sound like the Italian brothers, but Kissio and but Smuccio.
I just was really impressed with the way he started the show this morning. Like, he has a smile when he speaks, and it translated in his voice.
Well, he's a happy man.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Obi. Anyways, kind of just what y'all were talking about, it just seems like the most logical thing for what's remaining of the Pac-12 is to merge with the Mountain West, right? And just, I guess, become the new Pac-12. You think the Mountain West teams would take the Pac-12 name because they have that automatic playoff berth, at least going forward, for the next couple of years. But, I mean, just what are y'all's thoughts on that?
I don't know what the Mountain West is thinking. Like, maybe they merge, but they keep their, like, do you want George Kiafkov running your, like?
No.
So maybe, I don't know who the commissioner is of the Mountain West, but I got to assume he's in better standing.
Yeah, it used to be a guy named Craig Thompson. I don't know if he's still in charge or not. It's been a while since I've had to know that.
Right.
So, no, anybody. I would take Cavan, put Kennedy Cavan and I would take him over the Pac-12 guy.
Do you buy the reports out there that the ACC is like, you know what, Stanford, Cal, we're kind of Stanford and Stanford and
Cal.
We're considering bringing you guys over to the Atlantic Coast Conference because it makes total sense.
Well, you know the Rose Bowl was once played at Duke.
Is this right?
Yeah, during the war.
I didn't know that.
I thought that the Rose Bowl might be a little bit too vulnerable to Japanese attack, so they played it. They moved it to Duke. So, maybe historically, no. Why would, first of all, if you were going to go and expand your conference that far, right. and what do I know? Nothing in college sports surprises me, but it just seems like if you're going to do that, you do it for what the Big Ten did. Yeah, USC and UCLA, sure. Washington and Oregon, all that money that with Nike, sure. But Cal and Stanford, what do you want to? You want to be the leading power conference in water polo? So you go get Stanford?
But Stanford's been pretty darn good in football
over
the years.
When was the last time?
I'm trying to think. Didn't they have a 10-win stretch between 2010 and 18?
With David Shaw, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
and they had Andrew Luck there those years. But it's been several years. I'm not saying it's been a decade, but it's been a few years. And Cal has been a train wreck ever since 2008.
OB, I think the last time they won 9 games in 2018. That's the last time they had like a significant season. But between Jim Harbaugh's years, 2010, and then through 2016, they did average 10 wins a year pretty much.
Yeah.
12, 11, 12, 11, 8, 12, 10, 9, 9.
Yeah, Nebraska used to be really good too.
This is true.
So did Army.
2018, 9-4, 4-8, 4-2, 3-9.
Right. So again, you're going to stretch your conference all the way across the country for that?
Right.
Are you?
I'm not.
I mean,
but I don't like the idea of Stanford being left out of the party though.
Well, they can play as an independent.
It's going to be really hard for 2024 for them to book, because this is next year. 8 more games. It's going to be tough.
Oh, you can. It's. I don't think it's that tough.
Okay.
I really don't. I think, all right.
Of substance, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, now you want to throw that in there.
Well, they can play each other. Let's do a home and home this year.
They definitely got those 3, and then you probably got your non-conference games that were already scheduled.
Right.
Then you calling up your Mountain West brothers.
Hey, guys. Look a brother up. Kennedy Cavan, what's popping in
San
your
Jose
world?
State.
What'd you say?
They can play San Jose State. It's just
That's
down the
fine.
highway.
Okay.
You don't really have.
Well,
an
I'm
opinion.
asking you since you're the Pac-12 commissioner.
I am the Pac-12 commissioner. I forgot I just got upgraded to that position.
Yeah. What does
I
Pac
have a
mean?
lot of business.
What does Pac mean in the Pac-12?
Pacific Atlantic Coast.
It's actually just Pacific.
Just Pacific.
Yeah.
I have
or
no clue.
I call it the pacifist because the way.
Actually.
Oh, it just is. Okay.
As the new commissioner that's going to merge with the ACC, that's what it would mean. You're correct.
Okay.
Pacific Atlantic Coast. The sea to shining sea. Conference.
I'm technically just thinking 3 steps ahead of everybody else.
Well, that's always the case. We've missed you here. What's going on?
I know. I missed y'all. I'm back.
We're so late for a break. Do you have a quick update for us?
There's a lot of text that we can get into another time.
Okay.
If we're late for a break.
Yeah, we're so late. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to ruin your party here. OB, I got nothing clever to merge between the Pac-12 and the ACC and Fargo's. I got nothing other than if they want to
Other than 10 years from now, Fargo's will still be there?
Fargo's and the Pac-12 won't be?
And the Pac-12 and the ACC might not be.
But if the Pac-12 were smart and they wanted to merge with somebody, they'd probably have a meeting at Fargo's.
I think, no, I would merge with Fargo's. I'd call it the Fargo's 12. And the way
I don't know where you're going with this.
I would
Tell me
serve
more.
I would have that meet, when I announced the formation of the conference, when I got everybody together, I would have it on Tuesday so they could have rib tips and everybody'd be sold on it.
Everybody'd be so happy.
Because rib tips can build bridges. They can build bridges that span the entire United States from the Atlantic Coast Conference to the Pac-12 and everybody'd be happy with a bridge made of rib tips.
In this divided world we live in on social media,
we can all agree.
We can all agree on rib tips. From Fargo's.
From Fargo's. Yeah. Absolutely. I've had them other places.
Today's Tuesday, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
But you would say it on a Thursday.
On a Thursday, I'd say rib tips are great any day, but they're only available on Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Right.
But on Thursdays, I'd say, hey, let's talk pork chops.
Macaroni.
Let's bring Arkansas into the conversation with some pork chops.
Come on in.
On Wednesday, let's talk Boise State and Idaho, and let's talk a big old baked potato with some brisket on it.
Not a fan of the blue field, to be honest with you.
You know what? But I'm a fan of Fargo's baked potato with the chopped beef on it. And then if you want to, again, you're on the coast. So if you want to feel like, hey, I got to eat fish, then on Friday we'll do the four C's.
4 C's, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the what?
The best barbecue in the world.
That's Fargo's. Go check it out.
4 C's from the 7 C's.
Bye.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. Aggie football continued fall practice over the weekend, and new offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino sat down with the media. He was asked about getting along with Jimbo and was quick to set things straight.
I've read or heard, or I've had people send me things about, you and Coach Fisher getting along, that's not really how it works, okay? Coach is the boss, all right? My job is to try to keep him happy and make sure that everything works, the way he wants it to work. I understand that more than probably anybody because of the number of years that I've been the head coach. But it's been a lot of fun, Coach is a ball coach, and the ability to go in the meeting room and watch video and listen to his philosophies and his techniques and fundamentals, I've improved a lot as a coach, and my knowledge has improved a lot as a coach just in the short time that I've been here.
A&M football came in at number 25 in the USA Today coaches poll yesterday. Georgia was number 1 with Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, and LSU rounding out the top 5. The University of Texas is ranked number 12. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
Are you feeling run down, sluggish, having difficulty losing weight? You could have low testosterone. It's common. In fact, 40% of men have low T after age 40. Apex Health in College Station is here to restore your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance. Women can also benefit from testosterone replacement therapy. For a limited time at Apex Health, get your T-test for just $35. Get your edge back with a personalized health plan from Apex Health. Schedule your free consultation today at apexhealthclinic.com.
Finding and buying your dream home creates a special kind of excitement, and Lone Star Realty Group is ready to help you experience that excitement. At Lone Star, every client is a priority, and every client is treated like family. They combine cutting-edge technology from Compass with a hometown touch to provide a concierge experience like no other in the Brazos Valley. Whether you're buying or selling, you'll get the help you need from Lone Star Realty Group. Experience, integrity, results. Click LoneStarBCS.com.
On the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, I always get by with a little help from my friends. People like Olin Buchanan of TexAgs, Cedric Golden of the Austin American Statesman, and every Friday, it's the pregame show. We go in the pit, thanks to Dixie Tire Company, with Bryce Jones. Join me, Louis Bellina, and my friends, weekdays 11 to 2, right here on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
You got to have an ace in the hole, a little secret that nobody knows. Life is a gamble, a game we all play, but you
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Good song right here, OB. It's gone.
What was it?
You ever, I forget the name of it, but
Okay.
it's just, I don't know any songs. Even Kanye
Ace in
songs.
the Hole by George Strait.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Ace in the Hole.
You got to have an ace in the hole.
You ever watch the movie Swingers?
Yeah.
With Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
What a great soundtrack on
Yeah.
that one. That was a really good one.
Yeah, I did. I like that movie.
That was very good. You saw it too, Cavs?
I love Vince Vaughn, but I may or may not have
John
seen that movie.
Favreau.
That's probably where their careers really launched.
Swingers? Are you
It's not about that kind of thing. It's about like guys that party.
Did you ever see Vince Vaughn in the most worst cast role?
Is it on that show on HBO?
No, I was going to say in Rudy.
Oh.
You know he's in Rudy, right?
Yeah, of course.
And he plays the running back that Paterno's pissed off at, or not Paterno, Parsegan's pissed off at.
Right.
And to watch him like try to be athletic.
He's not at all.
Oh gosh.
Not at all.
Made me look like a Olympian.
By the way, it's TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon You. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm David Nuño. And now it is time. I can't wait for these to be a bunch of Aggies, by the way. The Apex Performance of the Week, presented by Apex Health. Feel like you're losing your edge? It could be low testosterone. Increase your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance. Did you just laugh?
No.
With a custom treatment plan for Apex Health. Learn more at apexhealthclinic.com. The Apex Health Clinic, owned and operated by a veteran serving the Brazos Valley. All right, so let's get into it, OB. Not a lot to talk about, unless you're, and I know like we have a lot of listeners that are diehard MLB fans, like Philip and some of the others out there. Baltimore Orioles, they've won 8 of 10 games. Mm-hmm. They've got themselves a nice little lead in the AL East. They've won 4 in a row. They've got series wins over the Mets, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees in that stretch. And today they begin a series against the Houston Astros.
Yeah, they've been hot. But are they as hot as the Texas Rangers? You say of the week. They've won 7 in a row now.
Is it 7 in a row now?
7 in a row. Now, to me, that equates to a week.
That is a week.
Oh, that's a good week.
They've won 7 in a row?
7 in a row.
Oh, wow. I don't know why I didn't put them on
Swept the
there.
White Sox, swept the Marlins, and last night beat the mighty Oakland Athletics.
You know why, OB?
Why?
Because yesterday when I looked at the standings, they were 6-4 in their last 10. What it didn't, and I looked at it before, they won their 7th in a row. So I guess they had lost 4 in a row. Is that right? Before they started winning?
Yes.
Huh.
Well, they had lost like 5 of 6.
I believe the Rangers will increase their lead over the Astros over this week because they not only beat the Oakland A's yesterday, they'll beat them again today, and they'll beat them again tomorrow. And the Astros take on that Orioles team that's in first place. And I don't think maybe the Astros win the series, but it'll be a series. Everybody who takes on the Oakland A's, they go, here, take a win. Take one.
And it's still a long time when I was a baseball fan, Rangers fan, I still expect them to fade, even though they're riding high right now. Sorry, Rusty. Now, Rusty Burson is probably the biggest Rangers fan in the Bryan College Station area.
You know you hurt some feelings on that one.
He's all in.
He's all in?
He says that this is the year they're not going to fade. They're going to win the division out of that. And I hope he's right. But I just can't give him I can't put that much faith in him. However, this last week, man, that was apex. They were predators.
Performance of the week.
They were
Texas
apex
Rangers.
predators this last week.
By the way, the Mariners have won 8 of 10. So the AL West, I mean, it's still a 6.5 game lead, but it's tight. It is tight. The Mariners keeping up with the Rangers, who are hot. So there you go. You got 3 teams there. I'm going to do one more just because I want to make it college football related. Look, it might be putting lipstick on a pig, but you got to give props to the Big 12.
You do.
I mean, they're adding. Like, they were left for dead, and at least the perception is they're moving in the right direction. Maybe it doesn't matter, but that's the perception.
To me, the Big 12 is like feasting at one of the really bad buffets. So you can get a lot, but is it really good?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm trying to think. The idea of a buffet does sound good. Very rarely does it work out.
If it's a buffet in, say, the Bellagio, and you're in Vegas,
that's different.
That's one thing. But if you're going down to, I'm not going to call out any.
I know which one you're
thinking. But there's certain places.
I went to one in town,
and you can get a lot.
It's the law of diminishing marginal utility, if I'm using that term correctly. Kevin, you're a college kid. When like the first
Indeed.
slice of pizza is really good, the second one's okay, and then by the time you get to the fifth one, you're like, it's not that good. That happens every time I go to a buffet.
Yeah. Well, that's the Big 12 now. Hey, we're loading up.
Come on.
Let's put some of these green mashed potatoes on here. Let's put some of this macaroni and cheese with a little bit of. There's not that much mold on it here. Let's put
Why
some
not just
rubber
bring the
chicken.
Stanford and Cal too? Let's just make it.
Guys, Stanford and Cal, they've in the past said absolutely will not get involved with a conference that has teams that are church-based. Well, now they have 3 of them in the Big 12 now, because you have Baylor,
right?
You have TCU, you have BYU,
right?
Now that to me would be the ultimate litmus test right there. Say, hey, Stanford, Cal,
what do you think?
What do you think? You want to join us with these church-based affiliated schools? And then if they said yes, wouldn't it be hilarious if BYU was the deciding vote to block them, because that always blocked BYU from getting into the Pac-12?
We don't want to do business with a school that doesn't want to do business with us. You're out.
Yeah. I have no sympathy for Stanford or Cal.
OB, does your knee pain keep getting worse?
Man, I wish it was just knee pain.
What about your shoulder pain?
My shoulders are
your hips?
chronic. My hips are rusted.
And your
they
back?
don't move. Oh, my back hurts.
Hips,
my whole body hurts.
My back.
I mean, look at my fingers. My fingers even hurt. Look at that.
There's a song about this, by the way.
My whole body hurts.
Well, take my advice, buddy. All right, I've given you a lot of advice, nutritional advice, especially when we go to Fargo's. But I want you to consider calling our friends at QC Kinetics. They can make that pain go away.
I need a quick cure.
Well,
I need a QC.
You know what? You just go in and you get out, buddy. Advanced Regenerative Medicine. They're helping people every day with these amazing natural treatments that restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to, OB. There's zero downtime. They're the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough. Patients are getting real, lasting relief and are saying no to surgery. You don't want to say yes to surgery, do you?
I don't want to say yes to surgery. No.
And I know you want to say no to drugs.
Oh, I always say no to drugs.
Yeah, you're like Nancy Reagan here.
In age and everything.
I don't even know if you know what that means, do you?
Did you say Nancy Reagan?
Yeah. Familiar with her work?
Yeah,
she was the say no to drugs.
Yeah.
Like Michelle Obama was the no salt in the food.
Well, actually, you need more sodium, to be honest with you, so I disagree there. 979-452-6000 is the number. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000.
The TexAgs way. If you come at the king, you best not miss. It's TexAgs Radio with Lucci and Nuño.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the zone. A possible site has been found for the city of College Station's 7th fire station.
That's one of the bond issues approved by College Station voters last November. This Thursday, City Council agenda includes the purchase of 4 acres along Greens Prairie Road, across the street from the Dalton Drive entrance into the Castlegate 2 neighborhood. The purchase price is $784,000. As for the timeline, the council is told during a capital projects update in June that a design is projected to be completed by September of next year. That's followed by a construction period stretching into 2026. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
Security guards are coming to Bryan ISD campuses.
They're not, what's the term? Commissioned officers.
Yesterday's announcement came from BISD board member Mark McCall as an action to comply with a new state law. That was followed by a unanimous vote to negotiate a contract with a privately owned company whose website states they provide a premier guard force. A Bryan man's 11th trip to the Brazos County Jail in the last 12 months and 21st time in 10 years is the result of 3 new criminal charges and bonds being pulled in 12 other cases. 33-year-old Jerry Morris Jr. was found Sunday by College Station police on charges of family violence assault, criminal trespassing, and evading arrest. Online jail records show Morris is also being held after bond was pulled in 6 pending criminal trials and 6 other criminal cases. Texas A&M's new interim president did not wait during his first visit with reporters to talk about recent events generating negative publicity.
It's really important for even great institutions to occasionally step back and take a real honest look in the mirror.
And I think that's where we are.
Mark Welch says decisions will be made after the A&M system released documents related to the failed hiring of Kathleen McElroy and the suspension of Professor Joy Alonzo. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
You can hear Fighting Texas Aggie football right here on The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, or online at radioagland.com, or you could tell Alexa, play Zone 1150. You know, I know, Aggie football is more than just the game. It's the tailgate. It's grilling with neighbors and friends. It's sitting on the couch with your son, daughter, teaching them the traditions and getting them ready for their time at Texas A&M. Here on The Zone, it's more than just the game, too. We got the Zone Game Day show. It's thanks to TexAgs. It starts 3 hours before every Texas A&M game. We also have the Zone Call-In show, and it starts 30 minutes after every Aggie football home game. Spend your game day here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. You can listen online at radioagland.com, and you can tell Alexa, play Zone 1150.
A little Tennessee whiskey after that last live spot to kind of
bring it back down,
balance it all out. Some text messages. Aaron, I see you. I have actually never read the lyrics of that song until right now. Not this song. Tennessee whiskey, great lyrics.
Yeah, great lyrics.
I did not realize how vile that song was.
You're joking, David.
I
thought this whole time that's why you were making
I knew what
that
it was
joke.
about.
No, he didn't know the extent
I
of
didn't
the
know
lyrics
how
in
deep
that song.
those lyrics
Wow.
go. How do you know, Nick?
Because everyone's heard that song.
Not
It's-
OB.
It's funny.
No, I had not heard that song. No.
Don't come back with it. That's
No,
but
whatever you
Tennessee
do,
whiskey. I know
do
that's-
not Google that song that we're talking about. We're not going to even mention it.
That's
Let's move
Irma's
on.
song right there. Tennessee
TexAgs
whiskey.
Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Tennessee whiskey.
Chris Stapleton, got to be a
You know that
star.
was a remake. I think like
Yes.
George Jones did Tennessee whiskey, but it was not as bluesy and cool as Chris Stapleton.
When we went to Nashville, we went to a couple of Nick, what would you call them? Dive bars? Is that what we'd call it?
No, they're
Just
bars. Yeah,
just bars, right? And there was two of the places we went to had really good live bands playing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like kind of feeling the music, so Kevin laughs at me for using the term feeling. That's a 90s term, okay?
Yeah.
I'm darn near 50.
So you're jamming.
Thank you. That's another 90s jam. My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. All right, so R. Kelly, which you can't say anymore. Anyway, I go from Nashville to Denver, right, to pick up my kids.
Okay.
As I'm going to sleep, there's a documentary on PBS, not the PBS, on country music that, what's his name? The guy who does all the baseball documentaries. You know what I'm talking about.
The guy who does all the baseball.
The famous baseball documentary. Ken Burns.
Okay.
He did a documentary on country music and kind of, the Nashville. It was just fantastic. I only got to watch a little bit of it, but if anybody's got like a free copy to send my way, it's like an 8-part series, and I watched the part on George Jones, on Tammy Wynette, right?
Yeah, that was
his wife. Yeah, I watched the whole. It was excellent. The part that I watched. I don't
She
know
had
how
two real big songs. One of them was "Stand by Your Man." The other one was "Divorce."
Well,
so she didn't stand by him too long.
Apparently, one of her contemporaries, I forget who it was, said all her songs were about standing by your man, but that's the furthest thing from the truth if you knew who she really was.
Well, there you go.
There you go. TexAgs Radio, Country Minute here, brought to you by David Gardner.
I love country music.
In the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm Mr. Country now.
I'm not like really today's country music, but I love country music. Outlaw country was my favorite genre.
Well, Nick, the timekeeper of music, who won't allow me to put new music on the playlist.
That's not true. You just never sent
I asked
anything.
for Zach Bryan. You said no.
Yeah, that's my one rule.
Okay.
No Zach Bryan.
You said no. Zach Bryan was just on the Joe Rogan show. I suggest you go listen to it. He was fantastic.
Okay, I'll give it a listen.
No, you won't. Awkward man. This 23 and 23 presented by the Charge Apparel. Aggie owned and operated premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales are donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. You can visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram and, of course, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Number 14, OB, is...
I bet you Edgerrin Cooper would listen to a little country music while he's out there.
He's hunting.
While he's out there shooting hogs.
Yep. What a player. I think this year is where we're going to really know the real Edgerrin Cooper.
I think Edgerrin Cooper has as much athleticism as any linebacker that A&M's had in the last 10 to 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's fast. He can really deliver contact, knock you backwards. I think what you're hoping for this year is just to see him take the next step in terms of just being a good linebacker, recognizing plays, don't overrun them, fill in the hole.
Yep.
You can always get better. Last year was his first year as a starter. I think of Tyrell Dodson. His first year as a starter, all right, he was okay. His second year as a starter, when you learn things, you get better. You get better being a radio personality the more often you do it, right? A radio host.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with playing linebacker or any other sport. The more reps you get, the better you get. And I would hope that this year we'll see the best version we've ever seen of Edgerrin Cooper.
I 100% agree. He will, though, be graded, not entirely, but partially on how this team does against the run. That is an area that really hurt the Aggies last year, and the linebackers have got to take a big part of the blame there, and also can take a big part of the awesome praise that they're going to get if they are much better against that this year.
Right. If A&M is going to be significantly better in run defense, they're going to have to be significantly better up front, but they're also going to have to be significantly better at linebacker. And one of the reasons I just talked about that they should be significantly better is Edgerrin Cooper is a athletic, fast, strong guy that is now becoming more and more experienced in playing that position. By the way, he does tend to make big plays.
Yeah.
We remember the one, the fumble he calls against LSU that changed that game. Damani Richardson returned.
There it is right there, yeah.
He had an interception. A&M only had 4 interceptions all last year. Edgerrin Cooper had one against Auburn. I don't think the offense did anything with it. I can remember in that win over Alabama 2 years ago, here's a play that you might forget, but Alabama's looking at a 3rd and 10 before they punt, and they're trying to get the ball to I can't remember. I think it's Mechie, and it was Edgerrin Cooper that reached back and blocked that pass.
Oh yeah.
He dropped into coverage and blocked that pass. So Edgerrin Cooper will make big plays. What you're looking for from Edgerrin Cooper this year is just to be is the consistency. And consistency typically comes with experience.
1,000%. You couldn't have said it any better. So I'm going to start doing these at the end of our dialogue about these players. Why is he here? Well, why is he in the top 14 players? Well, because OB, I think part of it is potential, right?
Part of it is.
Speed, athleticism, can play sideline to sideline, knows how to make good tackles, and it has a knack for the big play.
Yeah, and he has shown that he can play linebacker. It's just, again, it's the consistency you're looking for. And quite frankly, with the more experience in the defensive line is going to help him and Chris Russell or whoever else is playing linebacker with him, help them be better.
Right. Where he needs to improve.
Again, the consistency. I think with both linebackers last year, sometimes I saw them overrun plays or vulnerable to the cutback. There were times I think they need to just get better at diagnosing the play, just have better linebacker instincts.
Yep, 1,000%. And what's his potential for 2023? Is he
I think he's
all-conference caliber linebacker?
I think the potential's there because, again, he has all the physical gifts. It's just a matter of getting better. And like we just said, consistency comes with experience. So I could see Edgerrin Cooper getting a couple of interceptions. If they ever decide to blitz him, he's fast. I can see him getting a couple of sacks. And I would look for him to get 75 tackles. I would say that would be the number I'd put the over-under on, 75. And I might take the over.
Take the over. There are a bunch of text messages we have ignored throughout the show. We will get to those here in the next segment. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. That is 23 and 23, brought to you by the Charge Apparel, number 14 there, Edger and Cooper. Right now we're talking Heritage Films. That's Chance McClain's company. Call him up. Literally. I mean, not literally. Just call him. He'll answer the phone if he's not on a shoot. 713-893-8341. It is a family-owned business. His daughter goes to A&M. I think she's done in December. I might be wrong there, but she can be done real soon. His son Noah helps run the Year Flicks, and Chance is kind of the brains of the operation, and does all the videoing and all the questions. You name it, Chance is involved in it. And if you're looking for a documentary for your family or your family business or your family ranch, you should really consider, even if you're not thinking about it, like consider how cool it would be to be sitting on the couch with your dad and your mom, and you're watching their story of their love life, or how they met and how they started the family, and your dad's first job, and you're watching it. You look to your right, you see your mom and dad, and they're getting kind of emotional. You look to your left, and your kids are there, and they're seeing the story that they didn't really know. They kind of heard parts of it, and now that story is preserved and told over time. That's what Chance does with Heritage Films and these documentaries for just normal families out there. And then Year Flicks, you look to your left, you see your kids there, do a story on them. They're about 20-minute videos, Q&As, not as long as the Heritage Film, but just kind of like a benchmark video to get to know where they are in life. It is Heritage Films, the website, yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone, brought to you by Southern Tire Mart. Stage Center Theater in downtown Bryan presents The Curse of an Aching Heart. Performances run August 10th through the 26th. Purchase your tickets online at stagecenter.net. BCS Habitat for Humanity is holding its annual Tees for Keys golf tournament on Monday, September 11th at the Traditions Club in Bryan. Team registration and whole sponsorship opportunities are available at habitatbcs.org. The 20th annual Surviving and Thriving Breast Cancer Awareness Luncheon, benefiting Pink Alliance, is Wednesday, October 4th at the Hilton, featuring guest speaker Kelly Corrigan. Visit survivingandthriving.org for more information and tickets. Help the Brazos Valley Food Bank bring hope to the table. Donate online at bvfb.org. Southern Tire Mart is your source for types of tires, passenger cars, fleet vehicles, ATVs, heavy machinery, tractors, trailers, and more. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Ready to seize incredible investment opportunities in downtown Bryan? Mark your calendar for Tuesday, August 8th at Gate 12 Bar and Grill for Caliber's exclusive Lunch and Learn event. Not only will you gain insights into investment prospects, but you'll also enjoy a 4-course meal if you'd like. This event is exclusively for accredited investors. Contact us to see if you're qualified. Don't miss out on a chance to grow your portfolio and be part of the exciting growth in the Bryan College Station area. Join Caliber Tuesday, August 8th. Call 979-977-2950. Reserve your seat by calling 979-977-2950.
Howdy, I'm Steve Bledsoe, Senior Vice President at Veribank. Whether you're looking for a safe place to keep and grow your money, funding to help your business expand, or financial advice to ensure you're on track for retirement, Veribank has you covered. We take a genuine interest in your needs and working to find the best solution for you. At Veribank, we believe in giving you a better banking experience every day. Stop by our location in College Station or visit us at veribank.com. That's VERA bank.com.
Veribank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Get your groove on for the Peace, Love, and Giving Gala as you travel back to the 60s to celebrate Twin City Mission's 60th anniversary, Saturday, August 12th. Enjoy a far-out night as you move and groove to Emerald City's downtown fever while enjoying an out-of-this-world meal. There will be a Good Vibes raffle, live auction, and more. Support and celebrate this one-time event of Twin City Mission's 60 years in the Brazos Valley, Saturday, August 12th at the Brazos County Expo. Tickets and information at twincitymission.org. twincitymission.org.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on The Zone and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
Like yesterday, but it was long ago. Jane, it was
You are Bob Seger of College Station.
Well,
you're definitely not Mick Jagger.
Well, no, but you are Justin Timberlake.
Thank you.
You are.
Are we talking circa 2001 or are we talking circa 2022 when I was like, oh my gosh, what a loser?
I don't know. I'll let you decide.
We're at TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. My friend Bob Loop is watching. He's like, you've had the same 2 glasses of water, cups or bottles, whatever, and you haven't had any water. He's right. I got to hydrate. Got to get my. I had class this morning at BV MMA. I haven't caught up.
Well, especially in this
heat.
This heat, yeah. Everybody, be sure to hydrate. Get your favorite mixed drink, H2O.
Well, earlier
two parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen.
I forget how Cavs presented the information. We don't necessarily need to bring it up, but the electrolytes are important, guys. Get your salt. Put salt in your water, OB. Kennedy Cavan.
I think OB is salty enough without having any extra salt.
You were very disappointed in me for reading one of the text messages because you were like, that's my job.
And it's not just you. You know who else does it? Nick Savage behind the glass. When he hosts, he reads my text messages. That's why I'm here.
There's ownership in the text messages, huh?
There is. That's why I'm here.
But there's a reason sometimes we read them. Just kind of
keep the conversation flowing.
Not only keep the conversation flowing, but sometimes I know which text message I want. And oftentimes, many of you in the social center, I'm like, let's get to a Kennedy Cavan in the social center. And then it was like panic, like, oh my God, I don't have the browser open.
I never panic.
And then push the mic. Or I'll say, hey, let's read this one from Bob in San Diego. And you'll be like, I can't find it. That happens
I never
often.
panic. I'm always cool, calm, and collected.
All right. Well, let's read the third text on your list.
Okay. Well, I actually already had that one pulled up. Chris in Salado said, Connor said he told the receivers that if they have man coverage, the ball is coming, and he expects them to go make plays. What's y'all's thought on that gunslinger attitude? I like it.
Love it. And it starts, I believe, you need a quarterback who's confident enough to do it, OB, and can put the ball in that position. But also, you have to have an offensive coordinator that recognizes what your quarterback and wide receiver can do and gives them the freedom. Let's go. Let's air it out.
Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do as a quarterback? Find the best matchup and get the ball there. Hey, if I got one-on-one matchup, yeah, of course be looking for the ball, especially if your receiver is better than their DB. And I think A&M's receivers in the majority of games, the vast majority, are going to be better than the DBs.
Okay, Moose Muhammad.
Moose.
Like, he is a legit big play guy that we saw, I believe, grow up last year. Like, we actually saw it. Like, we knew he had big play potential, and he'd make a big play every once in a while. Like, we should get him the ball more. But then he became consistent, and then he made game-winning plays, or at least in LSU, right? Like, he's a guy that we forget. And then, we've talked all morning about Evan and Ananias, and I believe Noah is going to live up to the preseason hype, and he's already started to. There at the scrimmage the other day. We've been saying that about how good A&M's receiving core is going to be. It's just a matter is the quarterback going to be able to get him the ball? Is he going to have time to get him the ball? But if you can get the ball close to him, I think you're going to see those guys again. They're going to be better than the DBs guarding them. Ms. Cavan, what else?
Going back a little bit into our first conversation that y'all had in the first segment, JW said, if I call all of them, he's listing off of the teams from that list that weren't named, which is A&M, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, and Vandy.
Oh, that's right. Tennessee wasn't on that list.
Yes, and he said, no way, all of those teams don't have one single player in a 25 best from a conference of 14. Thoughts?
Agree.
Missouri, he had 2 guys from Missouri. It's interesting.
2 from Missouri. I understand at least 2 from Arkansas. 4 I thought was a bit much, but we got to go. We'll be back. TexAgs.
The SEC football preview is here. Tune in each weekday afternoon at 4:30 for the long-anticipated but never duplicated SEC preview. Our SEC preview is brought to you by First Financial Bank, MSC Opus, and the Fly Fishing Roundup. We'll shine the spotlight on one team per day, culminating in the most listened-to radio segment in the world, our predictions August 25th. Phone the neighbors, wake the kids, tell them the SEC preview's underway weekday afternoons at 4:30 on The Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
When we started Intercon in early 1991, we were well aware that we would be competing with some companies that use unscrupulous techniques to make a quick sale, such as bait and switch, or 40% off if you commit today, or misleading, incomplete quotes. Intercon's practice is to be completely honest and encourage prospective customers to talk to our former customers. We've encouraged customers to get multiple quotes. We are confident and proud of our value proposition for windows, glass, and solar screens. We never want anyone to rush into a decision they will regret in the future. Just remember, warranties are only as good as the people who provide them and are servicing the area when situations arise. This is our home and only marketplace, and we will protect our home turf. You've probably heard the saying, the buck stop here, and that is with me, Brad Beard, president and co-owner of Intercon LLC.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Maroon U is your ultimate stop for brand name apparel, gifts, and accessories for the entire family. From Columbia, 47 brand, Yeti, Dooney & Burke, and Adidas, we're able to outfit you for every occasion. Visit Maroon U, our family of companies, on Holloman Drive in College Station to shop the latest in brand name Aggie merchandise. Shop Maroon U today, voted best in Nebraska's best gift shop since 2016. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U.
You have some dough. It's lunchtime, but there's no way you would eat just dough for lunch, right? Well, the good thing is, I have some cheese. Your friend has some tomato sauce. This random guy on the street has pepperoni in his backpack. If we bring all these ingredients together, we end up with something much better than any of them alone. A savory pizza for lunch. But each of us has not only different ingredients, but also different opinions coming from our different life experiences. If we bring all these experiences and all these opinions together in friendly, civil conversation, we end up with opinions and ideas that are better than any of our individual opinions before. So if we want to come up with better ideas for a better world,
what we really need are civil, civic conversations. Pizzas. It's an American thing. AmericanThing.org.
Listen to The Zone online at RadioAggieland.com. Don't miss Louie, Chip, TexAgs, or your favorite Aggie teams as they play on The Zone. Listen online at RadioAggieland.com. This is KCNE College Station Bryan.
We're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. A little bit closer to the season, guys. NFL and, of course, college football. Let's go to the hotline. We're joined by Shireen Williams, Pro Football Talk, Aggie Great, Hall of Famer. Breaks it all down with us this morning. Shireen, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm okay. No complaints. Football's getting closer. Just got back from the Hall of Fame, and that always seems to be kind of the first weekend of, all right, it's back, let's go.
How was that weekend overall, the experience and whatnot?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. You know, I had Hall of Fame selectors, so I helped present DeMarcus Ware and Rondé Barber, two guys who I covered in my career. Also very excited that Chuck Howley finally went in, another Cowboy great from way back in the day. You know, it's just unfortunate when these guys like Ken Riley are dead when their day comes, that they don't get to know and experience what this is all about. And then with Chuck Halley, he has dementia, so he didn't make the trip from Dallas. But saw his son Scott Saturday night. He showed me a picture of Chuck from his assisted living home, watching it with his caregiver and some other people in the home. So kind of exciting that hopefully he knew that he made it into the hall. But yeah, it was great speeches and a good day for Saturday to hear those guys and the joy of all that. And then I went to Rondé Barber's party and DeMarcus Ware's party and got to catch up with a lot of people. And actually ran into Brad Johnson and talked to Brad Johnson a while. And we talked, of course, about Aggie football. So he's excited about it. I think everyone's getting really excited for the season to get underway.
All right, so I asked you talked to Brad there, and just overall your thoughts on that quarterback battle. I know you haven't been able to make it to practice, but just your thoughts on having two capable guys that can do it.
Yeah, you know, he thinks it's really close, and of course that's maybe a dad talking. I don't know. He hasn't been there either to watch him. You know, I'm going to be real surprised if Connor's not the choice for the quarterback to start the season. But it is exciting to have two capable starters, two guys who've done it, who've won games. I mean, we all saw Max, probably his best game, beat the Aggies a couple years ago in that final game. A&M should have won that game. LSU had no business winning that game, and Max led LSU over A&M with a great throw there at the end of the game. So we know he's capable of winning games. So I think that's the great thing, because we know how many injuries this position has had, especially at A&M over the last few years. It seems like guys always get hurt, and you always need that backup. And when you don't have that backup, you're in big trouble. And, you know, they always say in the NFL, if your starter gets hurt, you know, you're probably out of luck and your season's over. But we've seen it happen before with Nick Foles. You know, if you have that capable backup and you have a good team, that the backup can come in and save the day. And I think that's what the Aggies have right now. They have that capable backup. Whichever guy wins the job, I think they're both going to end up playing this year, whether it's an injury or some other reason. But they just need to, whoever doesn't win that battle needs to stay ready and be ready to play. And hopefully, you know, I've seen the Aggies over the past few years get off to a very slow start and look terrible in that first game. But you like to hope that you go into that first game and you play well enough and you're up enough that the other quarterback gets to play and you get to play some other guys. That's what those games are intended to be. But you have to play well in those games, and that's what the Aggies need to do. They need to come out right from the jump and play well early on and show. But, I think this is a team that's going to surprise people this year.
Talking to Shireen Williams here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Hey, just quick thoughts. I don't know if you got to see Bobby Petrino's press conference or saw any of the headlines from it, but at least from an A&M perspective, we thought he held court and did. He said he won that press conference. He was that good, Shireen.
Yeah, and you know what? He did. I did see it. The other thing is that's something that Brad Johnson brought up, and everybody I've seen has brought up is just the difference that Bobby Petrino has made, not only in X's and O's, but just being there, just the leadership and just kind of taking charge. I don't know how else to explain it, but he's just brought a different environment, a different tenor to that team. And that may be the biggest thing that they did this offseason. Forget all the recruiting. It may be Bobby Petrino coming in. And the good thing is, he's got enough experience and all that stuff that, it's going to be his offense. And, if it was a young guy, maybe Jimbo doesn't like something and says, I want this done. He's still a head coach. I get that. But what I'm saying is you need somebody on your staff who's going to push back against you. Every coach needs that. Because every coach, even Bill Belichick, doesn't make every right decision. And you need somebody on your staff who's going to be there to say, you know what, that's not the right decision. Let's think about doing this. And I think Jimbo will listen to Petrino. I think he will be that guy, and that will be very, very good for Jimbo. Look, if this all succeeds, if they're great this year, Jimbo's going to get a massive amount of credit. You know, I think coaches sometimes are afraid that the credit's going to be taken away from them, but it's going to work the other way. If this works, if they're successful, and I think they're going to be, and if they are, Jimbo's going to get a ton of credit. He'll probably be the coach of the year in the SEC. So this is going to work out well for him. And there's nothing wrong with being a walk-around head coach, as Jerry Jones likes to call it. Nothing wrong with that. There's a ton of them in the NFL. And they won a lot of Super Bowls doing that. So I think this is what needed to be done. I think Petrino has brought something to this team that was needed. Just a shot of whatever has been fit into this program, and I think it's something that they really needed.
Shireen Williams with us here on TexAgs Radio. Shireen, what's the latest with Zach Martin and the Cowboys?
Yeah, you know, they're at a stalemate. I talked to Jerry a little bit about it at DeMarcus Ware's party, and, you know, he's either going to show up or he's not going to show up, and they do not at this point seem inclined at all to give him a raise on what he's making this season, which is $13 million this year, and they're adamant that, you know, he could either show up or not show up. It's $50,000 a day in fines. He's racked up over $600,000, and that will continue. They cannot rescind those fines. Used to, the team could say, okay, you reported, we'll just let the fines go away. But under the CBA, teams cannot not do that. He will have to pay whatever amount of fines that he accrues, he will have to pay those. And at some point, you know, it's either retire or come back. I mean, I think that's going to be his choice, because I don't think the Cowboys are going to do anything with this contract. I think this is what it's going to be, and he's either going to come back or doesn't come back. And if he retires, he's got to pay back a ton of bonus money. So really, he's in a no-win situation, I guess is what I'm saying. And he probably should report. He should have done a hold-in instead of a hold-out in the first place, because he wouldn't have been fined $50,000 a day. A hold-in is when you just show up, you work out, you don't practice. You say, I'm not practicing until I get a new contract, and you don't have to pay any fine money. Some players in the NFL, right? J.K. Dobbins is one of those who's doing that right now, just not practicing, refusing to practice. And it's called a hold-in, and then you're not fined. And so that's what he needed to do instead of accruing all these fines. But it is where it is. I don't know what to expect. I would think that he would show up based on how much money he'll have to pay back if he retires, his bonus money. But I don't know at this point. I'm really surprised that he's not there right now.
Shireen, what did you think of Kellen Mond's debut with the Browns the other day?
Yeah, I sent him a good luck message before he played. And unfortunately, it wasn't really, I think, what he had hoped or what we wanted to see as Aggies for him to succeed. And the rookie behind him from UCLA, Thompson Robinson, came in, DTR, and really looked pretty good. So I think his spot on the roster is in a little bit of trouble. He's going to have to perform much better in the last 3 preseason games if he's going to make that roster. He'll probably make a practice squad somewhere if he doesn't, but I know he wants to make that roster and stay there and show that he can play. So he's made a little bit of progress. I mean, I think we all saw that, but I think he needs to show much more in these next three games and really cut it loose like he did in that LSU game, like he did in that Clemson game. Cut it loose and let it fly. That's the only way he's going to make this roster.
Shireen, I saw you answering a question on current Hall of Famers on the Cowboys roster. Who are some current Hall of Famers you think, or can be current Hall of Famers, I should say, or Hall of Famers in the future?
You know, I think you start with Zach Martin, almost Zach Thomas, because he went into the Hall of Fame last week. Congratulations to him. The first Texas Tech product to go into the Hall of Fame. But, yeah, I think you start with Zach Martin. I think if he does retire this year, I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Not only is he the best current guard in the NFL, but he is one of the best guards now of all time. And I talked to John Madden before he died about who the best guards in the NFL were, and he said Larry Allen and John Hanna. And his word to me was the gospel on offensive linemen. And it's when I was doing the presentation for Larry Allen that I talked to him about it, and he ranked Larry Allen right there with John Hanna as the number one of all time. And I would rank Zach Martin right there with those two guys as the best, whatever order you want to put him in, the best of all time at the guard position. So he's automatic. He's in first ballot. Tyron Smith, I think, probably has a chance for as good as he was, for as long as he was at left tackle, made the all-decade team. And I think he will be in one day. I'm not sure he'll be first ballot, but he'll be in one day. Still has some of his career left, although we know injuries have really taken a lot out of him. And I think that's the two guys you start with. And then, of course, I know Michael Parsons last week talked about it. This is what I want to do. He's only in his third year, so he's got a long way to go before we can really start, and a lot more to do before we can really start talking about him as a potential Hall of Famer. But he's off to a really great start in his career so far with that. But those are the two guys I think you look at, and I think they're going to be in the Hall of Fame one day.
Shireen, C.J. Stroud named the starter there for the Texans. What are some reports out that you're hearing about his play so far?
Yeah, he's been good. I think he's studying and doing all the right things that you need to do as a rookie. He's going to have some ups and downs, as most rookies have when they get into the NFL. But, I think the Texans are going to be better. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be better than what they've been over the last 3 seasons. And they finally got stability. They finally got some consistency. They feel like they have their quarterback now after all the Deshaun Watson drama. They feel like they have their coach after 2 one-and-done coaches. So I think this is an exciting time for the Texans. And I think they're building towards something. And they just want to see, Stroud make the plays, show some progress, show what why they made him the number 2 overall pick. And I think they are going to see that. I just like his demeanor a whole lot. It reminds me of Kellen Mond. It just, some people don't like that when you're not demonstrative and all that. But I just think as a quarterback, you need to be calm and collect, and the other team the rest of the team kind of follow along with you and not go in those waves of highs and lows, but just kind of be consistent. Now, that's just what I think C.J. Stroud is, and I think he's going to really help the Texans, especially after this year. But this year's a year to learn, a year to grow, make some improvement, show something there in the win column more than what you've done. Win 5, 6, 7, 8 games, and people then get really excited about next year. And I think that's what that team is capable of doing.
So you think that's realistic, 5 to 7 wins roughly?
Yeah, somewhere in that 5 to 7, I think is probably where they're going to be. If they get to 8, then I think that's fantastic. But yeah, I think they've got a real shot. And you know what? They play in a division that's honestly not very good. Everybody's picking Jacksonville, and I'll pick Jacksonville too to win that division. But does Jacksonville overwhelm you? Do you just go, hey, they're a Super Bowl team? No. Every one of those teams, despite all the flaws that they have, and every single team in that division has a flaw, but all those teams with all their flaws have a chance to win that division. The Jaguars just have the best quarterback in that division, which is why they probably have the best roster too. And I do think they win that division, but I just don't think they're going to be a runaway favorite. I don't think they're going to win 12, 13, 14 games and just run away with it. I think it's going to be a tight battle. So, yeah, I think they've got a shot to win a bunch of those games in their division, and then, it's going to be a little bit harder outside, but, we'll see what they can do. But, yeah, I think if it was 5 wins, that's better than what they've done over the last 3 years.
Shireen, what about the quarterback battle there in Tampa between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield? Some people thought it was Baker's job, but Kyle's making a name for himself.
Yeah, I still think it's Baker's job, and if it's not his job, good night. I mean, what are we doing here? Because it is a number 1 overall draft pick, and we've seen it before, but what a bust that guy's going to be if he can't even beat out Kyle Trask for the job in Tampa, and as much as he's bounced around. And I really thought he did some good things when he showed up with the Rams last year. I thought he played pretty well in a lot of games. So I'm going to be surprised if it's not Baker Mayfield, but yeah, it's a closer competition than I think any of us thought it would be, and that was a lot of the talk at the Buccaneers party with Rondé Barber, Jason Lai, all those guys were there on Saturday night, and everyone wanted to know about that quarterback battle, and they really like what Kyle Trask has done. So I think it's a little closer than I thought it would be, and probably a little closer than they thought it would be at this point. But again, I think they've got two quarterbacks who can play in the NFL, and I think they're going to be a team that's in good shape if they need to play the other quarterback for whatever reason.
Shireen, is there any progress with Nick Bosa and the 49ers? How's that holdout going?
Yeah, I think they are making progress on a deal. Now, he's one that the fine, because he's on his rookie contract, he is getting fined $50,000 a day, but he's on a rookie contract. So the 49ers can say, and they're going to, we're going to waive all your fines. You're good to go. They'll get this deal done before the start of training camp. I talked with John Lynch a little bit at Rondé's party, and they'll get this deal done before the start of training camp. I know they all want him there now. He's not there now, but in the past training camps, as Kyle Shanahan pointed out yesterday, Bosa's been hurt a bunch in his career, and so he hadn't participated in a lot of training camp in his career, and he's done just fine once the regular season started. So they're not concerned about him coming into camp out of shape or anything like that. He'll come in ready to go, just probably need a week of practice to get ready, get going. This thing has dragged on, longer than they thought it would. They thought they would have it done at the start of training camp. It's not, but I think this is going to get done in the next couple of weeks. He'll show up, get in a little practice time, and try to defend that Defensive Player of the Year award. Chris Jones is another one with the Chiefs who's holding out, and his $50,000 will not be rescinded. And we keep hearing they're close, they're getting there, but, we also heard, we'll have this done by when training camp starts, and now they're saying we're not going to trade Chris Jones. And so that's another one that needs to get done here in the next couple of weeks. So I think those two contracts will get done. I do not think Zach Martin gets a new contract. I think he's either going to play on his contract as it stands now, or he's not going to play at all, and it's kind of going to be up to him what he wants to do. So that one to me is the most interesting of the three guys who are holding out of camps right now.
Shireen, last thing for you, the NFL Top 100's officially finished. No surprise with Patrick Mahomes, number 1, Travis Kelce, number 5, so 2 Chiefs right there. Happy to see that Jalen Hurts was number 3 on that list.
Yeah, sure was, and I think he earned that last year with the way he played and took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. If they had won the Super Bowl, despite his fumble that was returned for a touchdown, I think he's MVP of that Super Bowl if they win that Super Bowl. He played really, really well, and I think that's really what, in players' minds and everybody else's minds, kind of sealed the deal that he is a franchise quarterback in this league and he can play. And I think we were uncertain about that going into last season, and here we are a year later talking about him as the number 3 player in the NFL. And he is. I think that's his rightful place on that list. I think that's where he belongs. So, it was good to see that. Good to see that they recognize what he did and how good he is. And I think that's the Cowboys, whatever the word is I'm looking for. That's kind of what they have to go into the season. Dak has to be that guy this year for them to win. He does. He has to be. He's on that list. He's in the top 10. I can't remember exactly where it was, but he's on that list, top 10 list. But he has to be that top 3 guy. He can't be the 7, 8, 9 guy. He has to be the top 3 guy. And if the Cowboys are going to get where the Eagles were last year, and if they're going to top the Eagles this year in the division, Dak's got to be that guy that Jalen Hurts was last year.
Shireen, great stuff. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, Shireen Williams on the hotline. Bring in the knowledge as she always does. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back, we'll get to those text messages, some little closing thoughts from some of the conversations there with Shireen. Zach Martin, just report. You guys have a chance to be real special. You got a chance to be very, very special this year. Charge Apparel time, made in the USA, made with a lot of love and a lot of tears over there. Polos and tees. They believe in supporting that U.S. economy for domestic jobs, which is why they manufacture their tees right here in the United States. And they're owned and operated by 2 great Aggies, class of 2014, who met in the Parsons Mounted Cavalry and the Corps of Cadets. You have Tucker, who was part of E2, and Travis, part of Squadron 2. And 12% of their total sales, not just profits, are donated to veteran nonprofit partners with a focus on mental health. It's an ode to the 12th man. They stand in support for our servicemen and women by donating 12% of their total sales and organizations to organizations that support U.S. veterans and mental health initiatives. And really, the bottom line is, how do the clothes look? They look great. They feel great. I've got a bunch of their clothes. They use that same premier fabric that suppliers use by like Lululemon and other elite brands out there. Slightly tailored fit through the chest and the arms, designed to make you and look and feel your best. Texas base, and they want to make sure that you know that they're right down the road in Austin behind enemy lines, but they bleed maroon over there. It's a great place. The Charge Apparel, go check them out. It is the Charge Apparel. Visit them at chargeapparel.com or on social media, the Charge Apparel on Instagram and the Charge Brand on Twitter.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. Aggie football continued fall practice over the weekend, and new offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino sat down with the media. He was asked about getting along with Jimbo and was quick to set things straight.
You know, I've read or heard, or I've had people send me things about, you know, you and Coach Fisher getting along, that's not really how it works, okay? Coach is the boss, all right? My job is to try to keep him happy and make sure that everything works, you know, the way he wants it to work. I understand that more than probably anybody because of the number of years that I've been the head coach. But it's been a lot of fun, you know. Coach is a ball coach, and the ability to go in the meeting room and watch video and listen to his philosophies and his techniques and fundamentals. I've improved a lot as a coach, and my knowledge has improved a lot as a coach just in the short time that I've been here.
A&M football came in at number 25 in the USA Today coaches poll yesterday. Georgia was number 1 with Michigan, Alabama, Ohio State, and LSU rounding out the top 5. The University of Texas is ranked number 12. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
AM radio provides always-on news, sports, talk, traffic, and weather reports. It also delivers vital emergency information when your community needs it most. A new bill in Congress would ensure AM radio stays in your car, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service is critical. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress to support the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Ready to seize incredible investment opportunities in downtown Bryan? Mark your calendar for Tuesday, August 8th at Gate 12 Bar and Grill for Caliber's exclusive Lunch and Learn event. Not only will you gain insights into investment prospects, but you'll also enjoy a 4-course meal if you'd like. This event is exclusively for accredited investors. Contact us to see if you're qualified. Don't miss out on a chance to grow your portfolio and be part of the exciting growth in the Bryan College Station area. Join Caliber Tuesday, August 8th. Call 979-977-2950. Reserve your seat by calling 979-977-2950.
On the Louis Bellina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service, I love me some college football. Sure, we talk Texas A&M, but we also go national, talk around the country with Mitch Light of The Athletic, and of course, the SEC with Braden Gall of 440 Sports and ESPN Radio. It is the Louis Bellina Show, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. If you love college football, you might like me too. Join me weekdays here on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
All right, I have to bring this up on here. I have to.
No.
Kevin, I want to tell you.
Okay.
You're not the only one who struggles with Roman numerals.
I didn't know.
Nick, are you good with Roman numerals?
Pretty much up until like 10, then it's game over.
See, so he wouldn't know either.
Yeah, well,
like every Super Bowl, I have to probably Google what Super Bowl is this, because I can't figure out that logo.
Yeah, the L and the X and the V, and like what is this? Like,
why not just call it Super Bowl 60, whatever, 50,
right? Like,
whatever.
It'd be elitist, the NFL. Kevin just asked me what. Can I say it?
Yes, you can say it.
I don't want to make.
I'm going to get made fun of, but you could say it.
All right. Kevin asked me what XII meant. Nick, what does XII mean?
12.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Just making sure.
Nick, you said you could only count to 10.
Well,
everybody knows the Big 12.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
the only
I knew
reason.
That's what he was talking about.
But it's a little lowercase XII.
right.
So like,
what would the Pac-13 be?
XIII.
They ain't 13 though. Let's get us to. Oh my gosh, I'm having
words,
having a
English.
stroke on air. I apologize. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance. Not that that's funny, by the way. Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go back to Kennedy, who's got some text messages for us that may include the word Big 12.
Okay, Nate in Fort Worth. It does. Spoiler alert. It does include Big 12.
I already did the spoiler.
Okay, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Would you trade averaging 9 wins a year in the SEC for the Big 12 and winning 3 conference championships a decade and 4 playoff appearances?
Okay, let me take this in
Would
parts.
you trade
Hold on.
averaging 9 wins a year in the SEC?
Which we haven't.
Okay, but if that was possible, for the Big 12, winning 3 conference championships a decade and 4 playoff appearances, which one would you rather?
4 playoff appearances?
4.
Yes.
Oh.
That's what yeah, but there's a to be continued, I feel like, in that text, like the 9 wins, so you're averaging 9, right? Is that how he phrased it? Averaging 9?
He said yes, averaging 9 wins a year.
Over a decade?
Well, he said a decade for the Big 12,
Okay.
so let's just say a decade.
So if you're averaging 9, that means you've had a couple 10 and 11s, right? Or at least 10s. You got some 10s and some 8s in there. In the SEC, that's better than winning 9. I guess the to be continued part is, are you not getting invited to the playoff? No, I think under that scenario, because I'm adding to your scenario. In that scenario, you've had a couple 10-win seasons, which means you might get invited to Atlanta. You might, are you getting embarrassed like Oklahoma did in the playoffs? If that's the case, nah, don't sign me up for that. I don't want to be that. I would rather have the 9. This is a good question because you have to role play a little bit. I'm into that. If you're averaging 9 over a decade, hopefully you've got some 10 and 11 win seasons in there. If you've got 10 or 11 win seasons in the SEC, you're going to New Year's Six Bowls. You're also able to take advantage of better recruiting classes. I think I take the SEC in that scenario. Nick, what say you?
I mean, yeah.
You need us to read it?
Well, I was kind of working, but I knew what the question was. My first reaction to hearing that was, is he comparing? Was he saying that would we take Oklahoma's resume? But they haven't been to the playoffs 4 times in a decade, or however he phrased it. But I mean, taking that success in the Big 12 or keeping where we're at now, I mean, I think you do got to take it, just because going to the playoffs is the ultimate goal. So yeah, you'd want to have that and conference titles as well. So I mean, it's interesting, but I also like the competition in the SEC and the matchups we get. I feel like you don't get that in the Big 12. So it's a hard one, but I mean, yeah, I would take the success for sure.
Oklahoma has been to the playoffs 4 times, by the way.
Okay, so maybe he is referencing, would we rather be in Oklahoma's spot?
Well, I think your national brand is certainly better if you're in Oklahoma spot. But there is, I would rather slay the mountain from over here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at as well.
And if you're averaging 9 in the SEC over a decade, if you're averaging 9, Kevin, can you do some math? See how many wins?
I'm not the one to do math.
Come on.
Okay,
All right.
a simple math?
No. Luke is sitting next to Nick. Luke, do the math. How many wins has A&M averaged in the SEC since joining? All right, just give me that. But let's go back to it. If you're averaging 9 wins a season in the SEC over a decade, you've had some New Year's Six Bowls mixed in there. You've had an opportunity for a playoff. Again, I need more context to this scenario because I'm assuming, but at the end of the day, getting invited to the playoffs and getting embarrassed also hurts your brand. It doesn't hurt it as much as not getting invited, don't get me wrong. But if TCU were to get invited again this year and they get annihilated again, that gives certain Texers a little bit more ammo. And that also says, so I would say in this scenario, I think with the information given, I would take the SEC route of averaging 9 wins But again, if that meant no playoff appearances and it just meant you're averaging 9 wins and now you don't get invited, then I obviously the goal is to get into the playoffs and the goal is to do well in the playoffs, right?
According to Luke, A&M has averaged 8.4 wins.
So they're
in the
almost
SEC.
there.
Almost there, yeah.
But they're not. Now that you put it like that, and we've had a 5-7 season and some other rough ones, some 7 wins and some 8 wins that we don't want to have. I still like the idea of averaging 9 in the SEC if I know I'm getting into the playoffs 1 or 2 of those years. But the goal is to get into the playoffs. So that's that. Let's go back to Kennedy Cabin. What else do we have?
Steve in College Station said, I thought it was interesting in Coach Petrino's interview that when talking about the quarterbacks getting the ball into the hands of their playmakers with the best matchup, the very first name that he said was Noah Thomas.
There was a lot. It wasn't just Petrino. I think Jimbo mentioned Noah Thomas a lot. I know that there were some people last week when we had him in our top 23, and they were just scoffing at the idea based on how he finished the year, like only a handful of catches. I guess my response to all that would be as follows: like, the expectation is he's going to be a much bigger part of the offense because he is a different kind of player compared to the rest of the group. The size and the strength and the speed, I think, will all play well this year. And, yeah, it was music to my ears when he was talking about getting his studs the ball, feeding the studs, right? That, to me, was music to my ears. And that is a multiple of players getting the ball. But the fact that you have a 6'5", 6'6" guy that you can throw over the top to, whose smaller DBs are going to have to try to cover, who now is feeling the confidence and has earned it at practice, I think that will be a game changer. Let's hit a break. We're going to talk to Mike Meltzer from Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM. Should chat with him. I've known him for quite a while. We'll see what's going on in his role. But right now we're talking about Caprock Health System. They are highly personalized emergency care, and that their patients there benefit from a very unique one-on-one experience. So should your stay require you to be there a little bit longer than you expected, they will manage every element of your visit. They have a very low patient-to-doctor-nurse ratio, which means their medical team gets to know you and your individual needs. And, you don't want these doctors constantly and these nurses walking into your room and, like, not knowing your situation. You want to feel comfortable and have a relationship there with your caregiver, and that's what they do with those hotel-quality rooms. And they are just putting the patient first in every decision that they make. 100% locally owned and operated in the Brazos Valley, putting that patient first, as I mentioned, in every decision. Their sole purpose is to make you feel better. You got 2 state-of-the-art facilities designed for patient healing and family friendliness. You got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. They have 0 wait time for emergency care, so you'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. It is Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station.
David and OB.
Not getting killed, he's getting mad.
David and OB on TexAgs Radio.
I'll bust this guy's teeth out.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. A possible site has been found for the city of College Station's 7th fire station.
That's one of the bond issues approved by College Station voters last November. This Thursday, City Council agenda includes the purchase of 4 acres along Greens Prairie Road across the street from the Dalton Drive entrance into the Castlegate 2 neighborhood. The purchase price is $784,000. As for the timeline, the council was told during a capital projects update in June that a design is projected to be completed by September of next year. That's followed by a construction period stretching into 2026. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
Security guards are coming to Bryan ISD campuses.
But they're not, what's the term? Commissioned officers.
Yesterday's announcement came from BISD board member Mark McCall as an action to comply with a new state law. That was followed by a unanimous vote to negotiate a contract with a privately owned company whose website states they provide a premier guard force. A Bryan man's 11th trip to the Brazos County Jail in the last 12 months and 21st time in 10 years is the result of 3 new criminal charges and bonds being pulled in 12 other cases. 33-year-old Jerry Morris Jr. was found Sunday by College Station police on charges of family violence assault, criminal trespassing, and evading arrest. Online jail records show Morris is also being held after bond was pulled in 6 pending criminal trials and 6 other criminal cases. Texas A&M's new interim president did not wait during his first visit with reporters to talk about recent events generating negative publicity.
It's really important for even great institutions to occasionally step back and take a real honest look in the mirror. And I think that's where we are.
Mark Welsh says decisions will be made after the A&M system released documents related to the failed hiring of Kathleen McElroy and the suspension of Professor Joy Alonzo. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
Brandon Jacobs, former New York Giants running back.
Newsflash, not Mr. Barkley, and I know for sure not Mr. Henry. I just don't think these guys can be replaced that simple. And I think these teams are making big-time mistakes.
Two-time Pro Bowler. He is Jeffrey Simmons.
Got a text. I'm like, well, why Coach Braver text me? It was like, sign Hopkins. And I said, excuse my language, I said, oh, I said, we just got so much better on offense.
Otis Anderson, Super Bowl 25 MVP, the former Giant.
Nobody's giving Giants any chance, even though we were in the playoff, and we won the first round of the playoff.
Desmond Ridder, Atlanta Falcons quarterback.
If you won the $1 billion Powerball, what's the first thing Desmond Ridder's doing?
Probably do my mom a good portion of that in third round. Wouldn't contract, can't really do that much.
Hall of Famer Darryl Green. If you guys lined up 10 times, how many catches is Harry Douglas getting on Darryl Green?
You saying he's going to get tested?
Man, don't do that, DG.
Listen in to ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio, 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Something tells me our next guest has never had a rejoiner with Bad Bunny on it. That's just my guess. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the hotline. Mad Dog Radio's Mike Meltzer joining us here on the program. If I can get the computer to work. Mike, good morning, buddy. How are you?
David, you're not necessarily wrong. How are you this morning? What's going on?
I'm good, man. Good to hear your voice. Proud of you and all the good work
Likewise.
You're doing there on Mad Dog, man.
I appreciate it. It's good to hear your voice as well. It's been a while. How are you?
Good, man. So let's kind of get into it. First off, I guess we can just start off with the whole situation with the Pac-12's demise, the ACC maybe trying to get the leftovers. Are they really trying? Florida State going to stay? So I'll just let you kind of take it from there, Mike. What's going on in this world of Pac-12 and conference expansion and yada, yada, yada?
So it's fascinating, David, that yesterday we saw the reports. I think Pete Thamel may have been first on this about the remainders of the Pac-12, the four schools that are left, possibly, at least, let's say, talking to the ACC. You just wonder how that logistically works in the sense that I guess the good thing is that for the ACC, they can get them in on, like a pro rata financial basis. So it wouldn't hurt. Typically, everybody who follows this realignment realizes there's one pie, and the more teams you add, you have to reduce the slice of the pie. It seems like with the ACC, that wouldn't necessarily be as much of an issue now, adding those schools. It would be more kind of what exactly is the overall point of this? Do those four schools, Stanford, Cal, Washington State, Oregon State, really add a lot to the viability of the ACC? And then the bigger thing is, how is this going to work logistically with all the non-football and basketball sports especially? I feel bad about everything that happened last week because I'm more of I don't know if I'm a traditionalist. I like college football kind of how it was. If you ask me, David, I would kind of go back to 1994 and freeze the conferences in place where they were then. Just basically freeze the conferences then and add a 12-team playoff. And I think that would be fine because, what's frustrating to me about college sports is that there's no commissioner. There's no czar. If the NFL worked the way that college football worked, the Buffalo Bills wouldn't exist. The Green Bay Packers wouldn't exist. The Jacksonville Jaguars wouldn't exist. But because you have an actual structure of 32 teams, you have vastly different market sizes, and you can have those teams thrive financially just because they're kind of forced to be within the same ecosystem as the other, 28 or 29 teams. And so you don't have this dynamic where now you have, and I'm probably going way too long, but you have what in college football, what you had last Friday morning, where there's this prisoner's dilemma that all the reporting now is that the Pac-12 presidents went to sleep on Thursday night thinking, you know what, it might not be the best deal, but we're going to sign this Apple TV contract. Maybe there's some upside. It's a huge corporation. Streaming is the way things are going. And then because Washington and Oregon are understandably nervous about what's going to happen moving forward, they just kind of quickly jump to the Big Ten because they have that prisoner's dilemma. It's like, if I don't screw everybody else in this conference, somebody else might screw me moving forward. Therefore, I have to leave. That, to me, is what I'm not a huge fan of. But that's what's been the case in college football for basically the last 20 or 30 years.
Talking to Mike Meltzer from Mad Dog Radio on Sirius XM. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. I'm kind of looking at the 94 conferences, Mike, in this scenario. You still have the ACC, the Big East, the Big Eight, the Big Ten, the Big West, the Mid-American, the Pac-10, Southeastern Conference, and the Southwestern Conference. And there's a couple other ones to add to that. But I use that in setting this up. Mike, I feel like those days might not be that far away. And maybe I'm just ridiculous when I suggest this. Because technically, couldn't you still have that in this current new future that we think is going to come with the two conferences? Just realign it with divisions that are basically your Southwest division, your Southeast division, and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable because, at some point, if there's a 12-game schedule, right? And so, you can have these conferences of, 18, 20, 22, 24, whatever it's going to be like in the Big Ten, the SEC, and whatever happens kind of with the remainder, with the Big 12, the ACC. Like, you're not going to be able to play, the pure round robin to really determine a conference champion. The only way you're going to be able to do it logistically is to subdivide it into divisions and then have some sort of bracket to figure out who the ultimate conference champion is going to be. So I think you are probably onto something, just, David, on the size of what these conferences might look like in a couple of years.
Talking to Mike Meltzer here on TexAgs Radio. What about the SEC, the way they're kind of being quiet and not coy, but being like, look, we don't have to do anything. Do you like the way they are handling it right now? Do you think they're going to be forced to do something at some point, even though Greg Sankey says they won't be forced to do anything?
I like what they're doing, and I don't think they're going to be forced to do anything because it just seems to me, as an alumnus of a school that is now in the ACC, Syracuse, that the next, I think a lot of this, David, the last couple of years has been sort of predictable, at least to an extent. Now, maybe Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC wasn't extremely predictable, but once that happened, you felt like there was going to be a corresponding move by the Big Ten because they couldn't just sit idly by. And that's why we had a year later, now a year ago, USC and UCLA making their move. And then it was kind of inevitable, like, okay, are we sure that the Pac-12, without two of their linchpin schools and their most famous school in football, are they just going to survive? Well, it turns out a year later they were not. The big thing that I'm looking for as far as what's going to happen next, and this is why the SEC has to do nothing, is Florida State's clearly not happy. And the schools with the most cachet from a football standpoint in the ACC are Florida State, Clemson, and Miami. And I wonder if it's inevitable that those schools, especially Florida State and Clemson, at some point get invites to the SEC if and when it makes sense financially. There's a whole legal issue with that because those schools signed away a long grant of rights. That's a binding contract. I don't really know what they can do to get out of that contract unless the league somehow completely dissolves on its own. But that's what I'm looking to, David, next. That's why I don't think the SEC has to do anything. They keep winning these football national championships. I guess they're not always first in revenue. There are many times where the Big Ten is just a little ahead of them, but they're the premier football conference. They don't have to add anybody. And the schools that they would want to add, they can just sit there and wait for those schools to come to them.
Talking to Mike Meltzer here on TexAgs Radio. All right, Mike, let's get into some football specifics. Texas A&M in particular. Terrible year last year. All the talent in the world. New offensive identity we expect. Those freshmen are now sophomore. Yep. Those sophomores are now juniors. Just your overall thoughts on A&M entering the 2023 season.
So here's what I like, David. I don't know what you think about this, but I like A&M in the sort of underdog, maybe slightly overlooked scenario. That is something that I like because last season was such a disappointment and such a disaster that it's almost like people have written off Jimbo State nationally to some extent. Now, he does the right thing. He hires Bobby Petrino. It seems like he is fully handing over the offense to him. They have, obviously very talented receivers. I'm optimistic about Wegman at quarterback. And this is sort of one of those like hired gun offensive coach scenarios. I think that's going to work offensively. I worry, especially in the SEC West, always a difficult schedule. Just, are they going to be able to survive this without some landmines of, 2, 3, 4 losses, something like that? But I would, in my mind, David, I expect this team to be substantially better than last season because of a few factors. Petrino, underdog mindset. You lose some of the players from the recruiting class from last year, but I think that could be a net positive if it kind of helps your culture. Like, I'll draw an analogy, and I'm not saying they're going to go this far, but remember, 2 years ago, at this time, I don't know how many people thought that Michigan was going to win the Big Ten because Jim Harbaugh had famously never beaten Ohio State. They were coming off a horrible year during COVID, and it seemed like what happened with that program is internally they kind of rebranded the culture. They really put their focus on beating Ohio State. They had lost some transfers, but it didn't really bother them. And the improvement really came from within. They finally beat Ohio State. They won the Big Ten. They went to the college football playoff. This is why, with somebody who has a track record of success like Jimbo Fisher, I'm not going to write it off, especially with how much talent the Aggies have.
Talking to Mike Meltzer here. Mike, I think we have such a long off season that it has the what it does to talk show hosts like ourselves is we kind of talk ourselves into one direction, and by the end of the summer, we're at a different spot. And I'm going to bring up Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama every year, like they're going to win it all. Then midway through the spring, we're like, well, they got quarterback issues. Then they come back from SEC media days and they're voted second, but yet everybody else in the world is saying, nah, Alabama's going to win 11 games again. Where are you when it comes to Alabama and some of the vulnerabilities that we've seen out there and where they finish?
I have some real questions about Alabama because you lose Bryce Young, which to me is obviously the biggest thing. They lose Will Anderson, and they use just the usual components of a team that is at the relative top of college football. David, I don't know about this quarterback situation. Milroe came in last year, and I thought there was a noticeable drop-off from the quarterbacks they've had the last 4 to 5 years to him. He's raw, he runs around. I don't think Tyler Buckner was any good at Notre Dame. When I watched him play there, I just didn't think that he was a player that stood out whatsoever. To me, the fact that Alabama's bringing in someone like that relatively late in the overall process is a bad sign. Ty Simpson, maybe there's some talent there, but I don't know. I know that they're going to have, a lot of talent, obviously, on both sides of the ball. It's going to be top 2 or 3 in the country by all the, the metrics, the recruiting ratings. But in terms of Alabama has transformed itself. This is not the Nick Saban teams, David, that won the national championship 10 years ago, where it was almost like the quarterback was an afterthought. They were so talented on defense, running game, that the quarterback had to be a game manager. That changed with Jalen and Tua and Mac Jones and Bryce Young. I don't think they have nearly that kind of player or quarterback, and now it's on the rest of the roster to basically supplement what you've lost. And I don't know if that's enough. I'd be worried about them because of the quarterback situation.
That is Mike Meltzer, Mad Dog Radio. Mike, we appreciate your time, man. Let's do it again, all right?
Absolutely. David, thank you so much.
Thank you. Mike Meltzer, Mad Dog Radio. Appreciate his time here on the program. All right, let's hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs, we'll get to some of those texts, a little more clarification on that scenario that was presented our way. Is it future? Are we talking about the last 10 years? There's a lot to get into. As I mentioned from the very top of it, about would you trade the two scenarios, averaging 9 wins over the last 10 years, or what was it, making the college football playoffs in the Big 12 4 times? I mean, that sounds better, obviously, making the playoffs. But there's more to that story. But let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. You're listening to TexAgs Radio.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone, brought to you by Southern Tire Mart. Stage Center Theater in downtown Bryan presents The Curse of an Aching Heart. Performances run August 10th through the 26th. Purchase your tickets online at stagecenter.net. BCS Habitat for Humanity is holding its annual Tees for Keys golf tournament on Monday, September 11th at the Traditions Club in Bryan. Team registration and whole sponsorship opportunities are available at habitatbcs.org. The 20th annual Surviving and Thriving Breast Cancer Awareness Luncheon benefiting Pink Alliance is Wednesday, October 4th at the Hilton, featuring guest speaker Kelly Corrigan. Visit survivingandthriving.org for more information and tickets. Help the Brazos Valley Food Bank bring hope to the table. Donate online at bvfb.org. Southern Tire Mart is your source for types of tires, passenger cars, fleet vehicles, ATVs, heavy machinery, tractors, trailers, and more. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
The small Texas town of Llano is where it all began. The Wooten family created Cooper's old-time pit barbecue, cooked cowboy style over mesquite coals. Decades later, you can still get the same great barbecue cooked the same way by the same family right here in College Station. Open daily 11 to 9. Experience the taste of locally Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's old-time pit barbecue. Voted best in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M athletics.
Whether you're a contractor, landscaper, or homeowner, Bobcat Compact Excavators can help you reach new heights with power and precision. Bobcat of the Brazos Valley is offering huge savings on a new Bobcat E35 25 horsepower compact excavator. Take it home today for the low monthly payment of $695 with a 36-month lease. Don't wait on the deal. Visit Bobcat of the Brazos Valley in Bryan today or on the web at bobcatofthebrazosvalley.com. Offer available for well-qualified buyers. Prices and promotions exclusive of Bobcat of the Brazos Valley customers. Some restrictions apply. Offer cannot be combined with any other offers. See store for details. Offer expires August 31st, 2023.
David Nuño here to talk about how much I love Legacy Workspaces located in the heart of College Station on Longmire. Let me tell you something. Big box office spaces done. Finish. Done. Legacy Workspaces is leading the way in modern, affordable, impressive officing. So many great amenities like reserved parking, free office supplies on demand, impressive conference rooms to host your clients, and some of the best coffee in town. Ay que rico, repeatedly voted best of the Brazos Valley. Visit legacyworkspaces.com and leave your legacy today.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on The Zone and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
And we back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go to the News and Social Center. Kennedy Cavan, we've got about 2 minutes to play with, so let's get a text message or two in.
Okay, Matt in San Antonio. This might
Mateo.
take... What?
He goes by Mateo.
Oh, okay. Well, it's under Matt in San Antonio here. So, but Mateo, hey.
I'm kidding.
Anyways,
He's still Matt.
Okay. I'm sorry. He goes, as mentioned.
Wait. When you read that, you actually got into character there. You were like, it wasn't like, It was like, Okay.
As mentioned, there is more details that need to be added, but I may lean more towards the Big 12 scenario, as I believe hope is such a powerful currency.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine nearly a full month of TexAgs radio leading up to the playoff and the hype buildup 4 out of 10 years? Even if we were 17-point underdogs to Alabama or Georgia in that situation, as a fan, you don't think negatively since fan is short for fanatic.
Again, though, yes, thinking under that scenario, but what I wanted to think about was, like, if we're talking about the next 10 years with the extended playoffs, and we're talking about getting invited in the SEC with a few 10-win seasons in the mix with a harder schedule, be more prepared for that scenario. Again, there's no absolutes in any of this. Would you rather have Oklahoma's resume over the last 10 years than A&M's? Yes, you would. You would trade for it. Would you rather be embarrassed? You just want to get invited to the party. under that scenario. But if I am also getting invited to that party, maybe not as often through the SEC, and also faring better, something to consider, right? That is certainly part of the conversation as well. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we're going to kind of go through some quarterbacks in all of college football. There's a bunch of new faces. People getting a lot of the benefit of the doubt. I'd like for A&M to get the benefit of the doubt, but I just want them to do it on the field. We'll go through that list, and we'll break it all down. It's TexAgs Radio.
The SEC football preview is here. Tune in each weekday afternoon at 4:30 for the long-anticipated but never duplicated SEC preview. Our SEC preview is brought to you by First Financial Bank, MSC Opus, and the Fly Fishing Roundup. We'll shine the spotlight on one team per day, culminating in the most listened-to radio segment in the world, our predictions August 25th. Phone the neighbors, wake the kids, tell them the SEC preview's underway weekday afternoons at 4:30 on The Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
If you have considered replacing the windows in your brick veneer home, you may have been told that it would be necessary to either remove the brick or tear up the inside of your window box. You need to know that Intercon replaces windows and brick every day, and we don't tear up anything except the window which is being removed. By installing windows every day, Intercon personnel have worked out methods which result in the replacement windows being at least as neat and effectively installed as your windows were when they were new. This means that Intercon can furnish and install replacement windows which exceed today's tighter standards for efficiency. They look and perform just as well as the best windows in brand new homes. Call Intercon or visit our showroom and we will furnish you customer references for homes you can look at and homeowners you probably know who can tell you that Intercon can solve your window problems without wrecking your home or your budget, just as we did theirs. Intercon will furnish a free quote and we won't pressure you to buy.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Fentanyl overdoses are happening to people like you and the people you care about right here in Texas. Fentanyl is an opioid up to 50 times stronger than heroin. Illegally manufactured fentanyl is being added to counterfeit pills that look just like real prescription medications. It's also being mixed with other illegal substances. Fentanyl is nearly impossible to detect on your own because you can't see, taste, or smell it. Even the smallest amount, equivalent to a few grains of sand, can be deadly. Learn more about fentanyl, how to recognize an overdose, and how you can save a life with naloxone at txopioidresponse.org.
Sponsored by Texas Health and Human Services Commission.
The NLS Braille and Talking Book program gives patrons the freedom to read their way, listen to their stories.
When I lost my sight, the only thing I had was reading. And it was like therapy to me.
NLS has pretty much anything you'd possibly want to read. Just can't recommend it enough. It's a free service. It's amazing how much you can get.
I have used every means there is, I think, of getting access to the National Library Service books.
If you want to read in electronic braille, you can. If you want to read on your phone, you can. If you want to read in heartprint, you can.
Everybody can read the way they want to read using this program, and it's a program worth looking into.
For more information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread or call 1-888-NLS-READ.
Love Aggie football?
Sure.
Star Wars? Pork chops? Or whiskey with a friend? Listen to Louie. Listen to Louie. Weekdays 11 to 2 on the Zone, 1150 a.m. And 93.7 FM. 7 FM. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.